Hello everyone and welcome back to the Functional Anatomy and Sport and Movement Analysis unit. So also this week I would like to leave you a quick message in order to go through the kind of tasks that I left to you last week and quickly show you the tasks that I created for you for this week. So we are still on topic 2, so basic mechanics. And as you know, the kind of tasks I left to you last week were related to analysis of movements, but more specifically kinetics and kinematics analysis of human motion. So here you can find the individual activities for last week, so the journal articles I left you to read, and here the link to the line or e-boards where I left you some formative questions, and I know that some of you have already started to answer them, which is fine. I left you some feedback, both for the kinematics and kinetics. And in general, the thing is that this kind of task is quite important for you to get familiar with key concepts, like concept of what's a joint angle, what's the difference between a segmental angle, a joint angle, what's a torque, what's a joint torque or joint moment, what's the center of mass, and I do know that you guys are very busy, and it's difficult to find time to read all the articles and feel confident to answer all the questions. If you didn't have time to do both, don't worry. You can still, in your own time, try to catch up, and you can leave your answers, and I'll be happy to give you my feedback also in the next weeks. So don't worry if this task is virtually finished. For this week is the first kind of discussion event, and discussion event 1, you can find it here. There are two main tasks for this week. There is a preparatory or introductory exercise on cutting movement, and a more structured exercise on rugby scrummaging. So I'm going to show you quickly the first introductory exercise. So I created here a page where you can find the most important information that you need to then engage with this kind of exercise, and which will be still focused on joint angles, and so something that you might have already read last week. And I'm also introducing the concept of ground reaction forces. So I really I warmly suggest you to read carefully this page, where you can find information about the movement and how the movement has been collected. There was the movement collected, and here there is some information about the kinematic analysis that was performed on this movement. So there are different anatomical segments described by these clusters, and each of the cluster has got a local reference system, as you can see from the arrows here. But there is all the information that you need here, and then also included the video of the 3D kinematic analysis, where you can see both the motion of the anatomical segments, but also the red arrow that you can see here is the ground reaction force in 3 dimensions. So once you have read this page, you can go directly to the activity, clicking on that link. And so the activity mainly is kind of made up of 2 tasks. One is to focus on the videos and that I showed you before, and the graphs that I have included here. The first set of graphs here are essentially the same graphs that you might have read or seen in the articles for the kinematic analysis last week. And since there are joint angles kind of graphs, there are different segments, the same segments that you have seen in the 3D kinematic analysis. So the pelvis, left and right hip, left and right knee, and left and right ankle. And there's some information about what different curves are in each graph. Similarly, I did the same for the ground reaction forces. The second task is related to answering some formative questions, and To do so, so there are three main questions here, and to answer them, you can go back here and go to the discussion event related to the preparatory exercise. Again, I think it's quite important for you to go through this exercise because the question that the first kind of question of the preparatory exercise are really kind of the aim to prepare you for the other activities. So it's a good way to do the preparatory exercise first and then engage with the discussion, the second activity here. So here there is a page for the second activity, and there is some information about the activity here. And there is also an Excel file where you can find the data if you want it. And again, once you've followed the link to the activity, there are again other questions for you to answer. Really, I can go through the activity as well, just to show you how it works. The activity is related to the kinematic and kinetic analysis of a rugby scrum. You will find similar graphs as the one I showed you before, and here you can get some information about how the motion and the forces were collected, information about how different markers were placed on the body, and that's important because some of the exercises were related to the motion in 3D of these markers, and then how to use this information to be able to split the movement in different phases or understand which are the key events in relation to that movement. There are some videos as well that you can use to understand what kind of motion we are talking about. And again, this is an example of the graphs that you can zoom in, zoom out, but you can see then that you can have a look at these graphs and then use some information taken from this graph to answer questions like this. So how many phases of motion have you identified? And then you can enter here your answer, and then there is a feedback that you can get as well. Once you have gone through this exercise, you can answer all the questions using the second discussion event link, which is related to the activity 2.1, so the one that I've just shown to you. I also created a Lino e-board for you to use if you've got any technical problem or any doubt about the tasks that you are supposed to do. Right, so really that's it from me today. And again, you're always welcome to email me or leave some comments on the Lino board or using the forum, or maybe phone me if you wish. I hope you're going to enjoy the exercise and have a nice week. See you later.